Your ego, the part of you that craves familiarity and stability, often clings to what feels safe, even when that safety comes at the cost of your growth. It whispers doubts, fuels your fears, and keeps you tethered to outdated versions of yourself, resisting the very change that could set you free. Have you ever felt like you're standing at the edge of transformation, yearning to step forward, but held back by an invisible force? You're not alone. This inner battle, the tension between who we are and who we are meant to become, is one of the most profound struggles of the human experience. Every time we dare to break old patterns, every time we reach for something greater, we challenge the deeply ingrained stories that have shaped our identity. And with that challenge comes resistance, an internal storm of uncertainty and fear. But this resistance is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign that we are on the verge of something extraordinary. The ego fights change because it equates the unknown with danger, yet in truth, the unknown holds the key to our deepest expansion. So how do we move beyond its grasp? How do we quiet the voice of fear and embrace the boundless potential of our true selves? Imagine you are walking on a bridge suspended over a vast canyon. On one side is the familiar, your current self, your habits, and your past experiences. On the other side lies transformation, your aspirations, your dreams, and the unknown. Each step forward makes the bridge shake, making you question if it will hold your weight. This trembling is the ego's panic. It senses instability and urges you to retreat. This fear-based reaction is not inherently negative. It's a survival mechanism. The ego was built to keep us safe, to ensure we avoid dangers. However, in the modern world, danger is often not physical, but psychological. The fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty. When we dare to push beyond old limitations, the ego clings to its familiar identity, fearing that stepping into the unknown means losing itself entirely. Ego's resistance follows a predictable pattern, like a storm gathering to hide the clear skies. Think back to every time you've embarked on a journey of change. At first, the fire of motivation burns bright, fueling your steps forward. But soon, the initial spark meets friction. Doubt whispers, fatigue settles in, and the comfort of familiarity tugs at you, promising ease if you just turn back. This is the moment that defines everything. Most people see this discomfort as a red flag, a sign that they're not meant to stay. But in reality, this is the threshold of transformation. The ego, sensing its old identity being rewritten, resists, not to harm you, but because it doesn't yet understand the expansion ahead. What if, instead of retreating, you recognize this struggle as proof that you are growing? The greatest breakthroughs often come wrapped in resistance. The path is not meant to be easy, but it is meant to be walked. If someone were to cut the cocoon open prematurely to ease the butterfly's struggle, it would never develop the strength to fly. When you make it to the other side of resistance, you meet a version of you that is freer, stronger, and more aligned than ever before. But perhaps the void is the most delicate and unnerving part of transformation, the in-between, where the old no longer fits, but the new has yet to take form. It's a space of stillness, where the familiar has fallen away, yet clarity remains just out of reach. Like a traveler lost between shores, you search for something solid to cling to, grasping at distractions to escape the weight of uncertainty. But what if this void isn't emptiness, but possibility? What if, instead of fearing it, you allowed yourself to rest in it? Sitting in the discomfort of not knowing is not a punishment. It's the fertile ground where true change takes root. Like a seed buried beneath the soil, your transformation is happening beneath the surface, even when you can't yet see it. The key is trust. Trust that even in the stillness, something profound is unfolding. This is not the end of the journey. It is the sacred pause before the breakthrough. If you can breathe through the uncertainty, surrender to the process, and allow yourself to simply be, you will find that the void was never empty. It was preparing you for everything you are meant to become. When you begin practicing meditation, your mind often rebels, thoughts race, discomfort arises, and impatience grows. The ego resists the stillness because it thrives on distraction and noise. However, with persistence, a shift occurs. The mind settles, clarity emerges, and inner peace becomes accessible. The initial discomfort was not a sign of failure. It was the ego's way of resisting transformation. This principle applies to all aspects of growth. Whether you are learning a new skill, healing from past trauma, or stepping into a new role in life, resistance is not a stop sign. It is an invitation to keep going. Breaking free from the ego's grip is not an act of battle, but of understanding. The ego, with all its fears and doubts, is not the enemy. It is simply the voice of past conditioning, echoing old narratives that once kept you safe. But safety is not the same as freedom. Growth requires stepping beyond these inherited fears, not by silencing them forcefully, but by meeting them with awareness and compassion. Self-inquiry is a powerful tool in this process. When doubt arises, pause and gently ask, is this fear a reflection of my present reality, or is it a shadow of the past? What if this fear is not a prophecy, but just a habit of the mind? Who would I be if I moved forward despite it? These questions don't just weaken the ego's grip, they illuminate the truth, that you are not your fears, but the awareness behind them. With each inquiry, the ego loosens its hold, and the voice of your higher self grows stronger. This is the self that knows you are worthy, capable, and infinitely more powerful than the limitations imposed by old stories. The more you listen to this truth, the more you step into the fullness of who you are meant to be, bold, expansive, and free. Once you see the ego's panic for what it truly is, you move closer to reclaiming your power. In that moment, you stand at a crossroads. Will you retreat into familiar comforts, numbing your fear with old habits? Or will you summon the courage to keep moving forward, embracing discomfort as a sign that you are evolving? The path to self-discovery is anything but smooth. It twists and turns, filled with setbacks, doubts, and moments that make you question everything. But every challenge is a test of your resilience, a chance to deepen your trust in yourself. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Each step takes you higher, and though the air gets thinner, your body adapts. At first, it feels unbearable, but as you keep going, your endurance grows, your strength multiplies, and what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. The same happens on the journey within. Every time you push past the ego's resistance, you expand. You become more aligned with your true self and more attuned to your inner wisdom. The struggles are not signs to turn back. They are proof that you are ascending. And with each step, you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. If you ever find yourself battling self-doubt, questioning your path, or feeling overwhelmed by resistance, remember this: you are on the cusp of something significant. Whenever you feel burdened by your ego's weight, think of the walking on a bridge scenario we discussed earlier. Instead of seeing the trembling bridge as a warning, see it as a sign of transformation. The shaking isn't a signal to turn back, but an invitation to trust. The ego, in its effort to protect, often mistakes expansion for danger. It cannot see that on the other side of fear lies freedom. The answer lies in courage, in trust, and in surrendering to the unfolding of your becoming. The journey is not easy, but it is the path to freedom, the path to awakening to who you were always meant to be. You realize that the ego's resistance is not your enemy. It is simply a threshold to cross, a test of your willingness to step into the vast, uncharted terrain of your potential. And so you walk, not without fear, but with the understanding that fear is part of the journey. Then unknown no longer feels like a void. but a canvas, one that is waiting for you to paint your most authentic, limitless self. Keep going. Trust in your journey. You are stronger than your fears. You are greater than your doubts. Freedom, fulfillment, and your truest self are just beyond the edge, waiting for you to claim them.